I clean houses for a living. Not the life I imagined when I left Wyoming 2 years ago with dreams of making it in New York City, but it pays the rent. I clean penthouses for people who'll never know my name, who'll never see me as anything more than the girl who makes their marble countertops shine. I was fine with that. I'd made peace with it. Until the day I walked into Michael McGraham's penthouse and saw a portrait that changed everything. A portrait of a boy I knew. A boy I'd lived with in the orphanage. This is the story of how a friendship from childhood became the key to solving a mystery that had haunted a family for nearly 2 decades. Before we dive in, have you ever recognized someone from your past in the most unexpected place? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories about impossible reunions and the power of never giving up hope, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Now let me tell you about Oliver, and how a chance cleaning job led me back to the boy I once knew. I grew up in the Meadowbrook Orphanage in Casper, Wyoming. I don't remember my parents. I was left at a fire station when I was 3 days old, wrapped in a yellow blanket with no note, no name, nothing. The hospital named me Tessa, the state gave me the last name Smith, and I became another file in an overwhelmed foster system. I spent my childhood at Meadowbrook, a sprawling old building that always smelled like industrial cleaner and overcooked vegetables. It wasn't a terrible place. The staff tried their best with limited resources. But it was lonely. Kids came and went, some got adopted, some aged out. Most of us just existed in between, waiting for families that might never come. When I was 6 years old, a new boy arrived at Meadowbrook. His t-shirt had a discreet embroidered word that read, Oliver. The police thought it was the name of some artisanal brand, but decided to give him the name as he couldn't remember it. From now on, his name was Oliver. I remember the day he came. It was late summer. He was 7 years old, skinny, with dark hair and blue eyes that looked too old for his face. He didn't talk much those first few weeks, didn't play with the other kids, just sat in the corner of the common room, staring at nothing. The other kids whispered about him. He's weird. Something's wrong with him. He cries at night. But I didn't think he was weird. I thought he was sad. So one day, I sat down next to him with my coloring book and offered him a crayon. Do you want to color with me? He looked at me for a long moment. Then he took the crayon and drew an airplane. A careful, detailed airplane. That was the beginning of our friendship. Over the next 6 years, Oliver and I were inseparable. We did homework together in the library. We snuck extra cookies from the kitchen. We made up stories about the families we'd have someday, the families that would come and choose us and take us away from Meadowbrook. Oliver never talked much about his past. I knew he'd come from somewhere else. The staff had mentioned he was found by police in a confused state, no identification, no memory of his family. But when I asked him about it, he'd just shake his head. I don't remember much. Just pieces. A car ride, a long one, and a house. And a man who brought me food. And then nothing. And then I was here. Do you remember your parents? Sometimes, in dreams, a man, a woman, a house with a red door. But I don't know if it's real or if I made it up. I wanted to help him remember, but I was just a kid too. So instead, I was his friend, his family, in the only way I knew how to be. When I was 12 years old, a couple came to Meadowbrook looking to adopt. The Lawrences, quiet, kind people from Cheyenne. They wanted a daughter. They chose me. I was thrilled, terrified, guilty, because I was leaving Oliver behind. The day I left, Oliver hugged me tight. I'm happy for you, Tessa. Really. I'll write to you. I'll visit. I promise. Okay. But I didn't. The Lawrences were good people, but they wanted me to focus on my new life, my new family. Writing to the orphanage felt like looking backward. So I stopped. I told myself Oliver would be okay, that he'd get adopted too, that some family would see how special he was. I never knew if that happened. After I left Meadowbrook, I never went back. I lived with the Lawrences until I was 18. They gave me a stable home, loved me in their reserved, practical way. But I always felt like I was performing, playing the role of the grateful adopted daughter. I never quite belonged. When I graduated high school, I told them I wanted to go to New York City. I'd grown up in Wyoming, wide open spaces, small towns, everyone knowing everyone. I wanted the opposite. I wanted to disappear into a city so big that no one would notice me. I wanted to reinvent myself. The Lawrences were disappointed but supportive. They gave me $2,000 as a graduation gift and drove me to the bus station. I arrived in New York City in August 6 years ago, with 2 suitcases, $2,000, and dreams of becoming something. I wasn't sure what. Maybe a writer, maybe a photographer, maybe just someone who mattered. Reality hit fast. New York was expensive, impossibly expensive. My $2,000 disappeared in 2 months on a tiny studio in Queens that I shared with 2 roommates. I applied for jobs, retail, restaurants, administrative work, but I had no degree, no experience, no connections. Eventually, I found work with a residential cleaning company. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid $18 an hour plus tips, and I could make my own schedule. I cleaned apartments for young professionals, townhouses for families, penthouses for people who earned more in a day than I did in a year. I told myself that I'd save money, go to college, build a better life. But 4 years passed, and I was still cleaning houses, still living paycheck to paycheck. On a cold Tuesday in October, my boss called me with a new assignment. "Tessa, I've got a special job for you. High-profile client. Penthouse in Tribeca. He's very particular. Wants someone reliable, discreet. I'm sending you." "What's the address?" She gave me the details. The pay was good. $200 for 4 hours of deep cleaning, plus whatever tip the client left. I'd done jobs like this before. Rich people had specific expectations, but if you met them, they tipped well. I took the subway to Tribeca, found the building, a sleek glass tower overlooking the Hudson River, and checked in with the doorman. "I'm here to clean Mr. McGraham's penthouse." The doorman nodded. 32nd floor. Service elevator is to your left." The service elevator opened directly into the penthouse. I stepped out into a space so beautiful it took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. Marble floors. Modern furniture that probably cost more than a car. Art on the walls. Real art, not prints. Everything was pristine, elegant, expensive, and empty. The client wasn't home, which was typical. Most of my clients left before I arrived and returned after I was done. They didn't want to interact with the help. I set down my cleaning supplies and started in the kitchen. It was spotless already. This was clearly someone who rarely cooked. But I wiped down the counters, polished the stainless steel appliances, organized the pantry. Then I moved to the living room. That's when I saw it. Above the fireplace, in a place of honor, hung a massive oil painting. A portrait. A boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, with dark hair and blue eyes. He was wearing a striped shirt and holding a toy airplane, smiling. My cleaning cloth fell from my hand. I knew that face. I knew that boy. "Oliver," I whispered. My heart pounded. It couldn't be. It couldn't be the same Oliver. But those eyes. I'd know those eyes anywhere. I'd spent 6 years looking into those eyes, sitting next to him in the Meadowbrook common room, coloring pictures, sharing secrets. What was his portrait doing in a penthouse in Tribeca? I heard footsteps behind me and spun around. A man stood in the doorway, late 40s, tall, wearing an expensive suit, dark hair going gray at the temples, tired eyes. "Can I help you?" he asked. I'm sorry. I'm Tessa. From the cleaning company. I didn't realize you were home. I came back to grab some files. I'll be out of your way in a moment." He walked past me toward his office. I should have let him go and have gone back to cleaning, but I couldn't stop staring at the portrait. Sir? My voice came out shaky. He paused, turned back. Yes? That boy. In the painting. What's his name? The man's expression changed, softened, darkened. I couldn't tell which. Why do you ask? Because I took a breath. Sir, that boy lived with me, in the orphanage. I know him. His name is Oliver. The man went very still. What did you say? That boy in the portrait. His name is Oliver. We lived together at Meadowbrook Orphanage in Wyoming. From when I was 6 until I was 12, he was my best friend. The file folders the man was holding fell to the floor, papers scattering. That's impossible, he whispered. I'm not lying. I know him. I know that face. We were friends for 6 years. The man walked toward me slowly, like he was afraid I'd disappear. You lived with him? In an orphanage? In Wyoming? Yes. Meadowbrook Orphanage, in Casper. He came when he was 7 or 8. I was 6. We were friends until I got adopted when I was 12. The man's legs seemed to give out. He sat down heavily on the couch, staring at me with an expression I couldn't read. Shock, hope, disbelief. Tell me everything, he said. Everything you know about him. I sat down across from him, my hands shaking. His name was Oliver. He came to Meadowbrook in late 2007, I think. Summer or early fall. He was maybe 7 or 8 years old, nobody was sure. He didn't talk much at first. He had nightmares. The staff said he'd been found by police somewhere in Wyoming. Confused, no identification, couldn't remember his family or his name. They named him Oliver because he had a t-shirt with the word Oliver embroidered on it. The man covered his mouth with his hand. I saw tears in his eyes. He was quiet, I continued. The other kids thought he was weird, but I liked him. We became friends. He loved drawing airplanes. He'd spend hours in the library looking at books about planes. He wanted to be a pilot someday. Oh my God, the man breathed. He stayed at Meadowbrook until I left in 2013. I don't know what happened to him after that. I always hoped he got adopted. I never went back to check. The man stood up abruptly, walked to a cabinet, and pulled out a photo album. His hands trembled as he flipped through pages. Then he turned the album toward me. Is this him? I looked at the photo. A family portrait, a younger version of the man sitting across from me, a beautiful woman, and a little boy. The same boy from the painting. Oliver. Yes, that's him. Who is he? Who are you? The man's voice broke. My name is Michael McGraham, and that boy, Oliver, is my son. He was kidnapped 18 years ago. I've been looking for him ever since. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the couch to steady myself. Kidnapped? Michael nodded, wiping his eyes. July 15th, 2006. We were at a playground in Central Park. I turned my back for 30 seconds to answer a phone call. When I looked back, he was gone. Just gone. The police searched for months. They found nothing. No witnesses. No body. No ransom demands. Nothing. But how did he end up in Wyoming? That's halfway across the country. I don't know. The police theorized that whoever took him transported him far away to make it harder to trace. But without evidence, without leads, the case went cold. They told me to accept that he was dead. But I couldn't. I spent years hiring private investigators, following dead ends, hoping for a miracle. Michael looked at the portrait above the fireplace. That painting was commissioned from the last photo I had of him. I look at it every day, wondering where he is. If he's alive. If he's okay. Michael, I said gently. He was alive. At least until 2013. That's when I last saw him. And you said he was at Meadowbrook Orphanage? In Wyoming? Yes. Michael stood up quickly. I need to go there. Now. I need to find him. Wait, Michael, it's been 11 years since I left. I don't know if he's still there. He might have been adopted. He might have aged out of the system. He could be anywhere. Then we'll find him. Will you help me? What? Will you come with me? To Wyoming? You know the orphanage. You know Oliver. Please, I'm begging you. I looked at this man, this powerful, wealthy man, and saw only a desperate father who'd lost his child. Yes, I said. I'll help you. 2 days later, I was on a private jet to Wyoming. I'd never been on a plane before, let alone a private one. Michael had arranged everything, cleared my schedule with my cleaning company, and paid them for the week I'd miss. Packed a bag for me when I admitted I didn't have luggage appropriate for travel. On the flight, Michael showed me everything. Police reports, news articles, photos of Oliver as a baby, as a toddler, as a 7-year-old. Home videos of birthdays and Christmases and ordinary moments. This was his 6th birthday, Michael said, showing me a video of Oliver blowing out candles on a cake shaped like an airplane. He was obsessed with planes even then. His grandfather, my father, gave him a little red toy airplane. Oliver slept with it every night. He still loved planes at Meadowbrook, I said softly. He'd draw them constantly. Michael closed his eyes. I can't believe he was alive this whole time. All those years, and I didn't know. You couldn't have known. But I should have kept looking. I hired investigators, but after 5 years, even they said it was hopeless. I was spending millions on a ghost. My wife, Oliver's mother, she couldn't take it anymore. The not knowing. The hoping. We divorced in 2011. She's remarried now, living in California. I haven't spoken to her in years. I'm sorry. She did what she needed to do to survive. I just couldn't let go. I kept Oliver's room exactly as it was, kept his toys, kept hoping that someday, somehow, he'd come home. Michael, I need to prepare you. Even if Oliver is still in Wyoming, even if we find him, he might not remember you. When I knew him, he barely remembered his life before Meadowbrook. He had fragments, a toy plane, a man and a woman, feelings more than memories. But he didn't know his name. Didn't know where he came from. I know. The police said that can happen with trauma, especially in young children. Dissociative amnesia. The mind protects itself by forgetting. So even if we find him, he might not know who you are. Michael looked at me steadily. Then I'll prove it to him. I'll show him who he is, who he was, and I'll give him the choice to come home. Or not. But at least he'll know. At least he'll know he wasn't forgotten. We landed in Casper late in the afternoon. Michael had rented a car, something normal, not a luxury vehicle. I don't want to draw attention, he explained. I directed him to Meadowbrook. The orphanage was on the edge of town, a sprawling brick building that looked exactly as I remembered it. A little more run down, maybe. A little sadder. We parked and walked to the entrance. My heart pounded. I hadn't been here in 11 years. Part of me didn't want to go back. But I was here for Oliver, for Michael, for answers. Inside, the lobby smelled the same. Industrial cleaner and something indefinable. Institutional. A woman sat at the reception desk, middle-aged, tired-looking. Can I help you? She asked. Michael stepped forward. My name is Michael McGraham. I'm looking for information about a former resident. His name is Oliver. He would have been here from approximately 2007 to at least 2013. The receptionist frowned. I'm sorry, sir. We can't release information about former residents. Privacy policies. I'm his father. Do you have documentation? He was kidnapped 18 years ago. I've been searching for him ever since. Please, I just need to know if he's still alive, if he's okay. The woman's expression softened slightly, but she shook her head. I understand this is difficult, but I can't help you without proper legal authorization. You'll need to contact our legal department, file a request, provide proof of identity. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. Michael's jaw tightened. I don't have months. Sir, I'm sorry, but those are the rules. I can give you the contact information for our legal team. We don't need your legal team, I said, frustration rising. I lived here. I know Oliver. Can't you just tell us if he's still here or where he went? I'm sorry, I can't. Michael turned away, running his hands through his hair. I could see the desperation, the frustration radiating off him. I grabbed the contact information card. We walked back outside into the late afternoon sun. Michael leaned against the car, looking defeated. We came all this way for nothing. There has to be another way, I said. Someone who worked here back then. Someone who might remember Oliver. Even if they do, they probably can't share information either. We stood there in silence, trying to figure out our next move. Then I heard a voice behind us. Tessa? Tessa Smith? I turned around. A man stood near the side entrance of the building. Tall, lean, dark hair, late 20s. He was wearing work clothes, jeans, a flannel shirt, work boots. He carried a toolbox. My breath caught. Oliver? The man squinted at me, then his eyes widened. Oh my God, it is you. I saw you in the lobby, but I wasn't sure. I haven't seen you since I was adopted. I know. We stared at each other across the parking lot. 11 years collapsed into a single moment. Oliver set down his toolbox and walked toward me slowly. What are you doing here? I mean, it's amazing to see you, but I'm here because... I turned to Michael, who stood frozen, staring at Oliver with an expression I'll never forget. Pure shock. Pure hope. Oliver, there's someone you need to meet. Oliver looked at Michael, confused. Who's this? Michael couldn't speak. He just stared, tears streaming down his face. Oliver, I said gently. This is Michael McGraham. He's... My voice cracked. He's your father. Oliver went very still. My what? Your father. Oliver, you were kidnapped when you were 7 years old. From New York. You were brought to Wyoming. You lost your memories. But this man, he's been looking for you for 18 years. Oliver stared at Michael. Michael stared back, unable to move, unable to breathe. I don't understand, Oliver whispered. I don't have a father. I don't have a family. I grew up here. Michael finally found his voice. You have a birthmark. On your left shoulder. Shaped like a triangle. Oliver's hand moved unconsciously to his shoulder. Your favorite toy was a red airplane. Michael continued, voice shaking. Your grandfather gave it to you for your 6th birthday. You slept with it every night. You wanted to be a pilot when you grew up. Oliver's face went pale. How do you know that? Because I'm your father. Your name is Oliver James McGraham. You were born on March 3rd, 1999. You lived with me and your mother in New York City until July 15th, 2006. That's the day you were taken from me. Oliver's legs seemed to give out. He sat down hard on the curb, staring up at Michael with something between shock and fear. I remember, he whispered. I remember pieces. A man. And a woman. And seeing the city from the top. But I thought I made it up. The staff said I was found without identification, that no one was looking for me. I was looking, Michael said, kneeling in front of him. I never stopped looking. Oliver looked at me, desperate. Tessa, is this real? It's real, I said softly. I saw your portrait in his house. That's how I knew. I recognized you. Oliver turned back to Michael. Reached out tentatively and touched Michael's face, like he was testing whether he was solid. Real. Dad? The word came out broken, uncertain. Michael pulled Oliver into his arms and sobbed. We sat in the parking lot for over an hour while Oliver and Michael tried to piece together 18 years of missing history. Oliver told his story. Fragmented, traumatic, but real. I remember being in a park, playing. Then a man took my hand, said he'd buy me ice cream. I went with him. He put me in a car. We drove for a long time, hours and hours, maybe days. I fell asleep. When I woke up, we were in a house. It was isolated. No other houses around. Just trees. Do you remember where? No. Somewhere in Wyoming, I think. The man kept me there. He brought me food, told me to be quiet, said my parents would come get me soon. But they never did. Michael's face was anguished. How long were you there? Months, maybe? I don't know. Time felt strange. Then one day the man stopped coming. I waited and waited. No food came. I got scared. I found a window that wasn't locked and I climbed out. I ran. I don't know how far. Eventually I found a road. A police car picked me up. And you couldn't tell them who you were? I tried, but I couldn't remember. Every time I tried to think about it, my head hurt. The police asked me my name, my parents' names, where I lived. I couldn't answer. They took me to a hospital, then to Meadowbrook. Why didn't they search for your family? Oliver shrugged helplessly. I don't know. Maybe they did. But without a name, without any information, I was just another lost kid. Michael covered his face. All this time. You were alive, and I didn't know. What happened to the man? I asked. The one who took you? I don't know. He just stopped coming. Maybe he got arrested for something else. Maybe he died. Maybe he just decided to abandon me. Michael pulled out his phone, scrolling through old files. There were ransom demands. In the first year after you were taken. Anonymous calls, emails. The FBI tried to trace them, but whoever was making them was careful. They asked for $10 million. Did you pay? I tried. We set up a drop 3 times. Each time no one showed up to collect. The FBI thought it was a hoax, someone exploiting my desperation. Then after some months, the demands stopped completely. The FBI concluded that you had... He stopped. That I had died. Oliver finished quietly. I never believed that. But they closed the case. Said there was nothing more they could do. We sat in silence, processing. So the kidnapper was communicating with you, I said slowly. But then he just stopped. Right around the time Oliver says he stopped coming to the house. Which means he probably was arrested, or died. Can you find out? Oliver asked. I want to know who took me. Why? I'll hire investigators. We'll find answers. Michael looked at Oliver intently. But first, Oliver, will you come home with me? To New York? Oliver pulled back slightly. I don't know if I can just leave. I have a job here. A life. What kind of job? I'm the groundskeeper and maintenance guy for Meadowbrook. You work at the orphanage? Yeah. When I aged out at 18, I didn't have anywhere to go. The director felt bad for me, I think. He offered me a job. Room and board in exchange for keeping the place running. It's not much, but it's stable. Michael's expression broke. Oliver, you don't have to live like that anymore. You have a family. You have a home. But I don't remember it. I don't remember you. Not really. Then let me help you remember. Come to New York. See the house you grew up in. See your old room. I kept everything exactly as it was. See the photos, the videos, the life you had before. And if after all that you want to come back here, I'll bring you back. But please, give me a chance. Oliver looked at me. Tessa, what should I do? I thought carefully. Oliver, I know you're in shock. We all are. But I think you owe it to yourself to learn the truth. To see where you came from. You spent 18 years not knowing. Don't you want to know? Oliver was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, I'll come. But just for a visit. I'm not making any promises. Will my mother be there? Oh, your mother. I need to call Hillary. She'll meet us there. One day later, the 3 of us flew back to New York. Oliver was nervous the entire flight. He'd never been on a plane before, at least not that he remembered. Michael showed him more photos, more videos, trying to jog memories. Some things sparked recognition. The toy airplane, the layout of the penthouse. But it was vague, dreamlike, not solid. When we arrived at Michael's penthouse, Oliver stood in the entryway, frozen. "I've been here before," he whispered. "You lived here until you were 7. Michael led Oliver down a hallway to a door that had remained closed for 18 years. He opened it slowly. Oliver's childhood bedroom. Exactly as he'd left it. The bed made, toys on shelves, books stacked neatly, posters of airplanes on the walls, and on the nightstand, a small red toy airplane. Oliver walked to it slowly, picked it up, turned it over in his hands. "I remember this," he said, voice thick. "Grandpa gave it to me." "Yes. He died, didn't he? Before I was taken." "Yes. 6 months before." Oliver sat on the edge of the bed holding the airplane. Tears ran down his face. "I thought I made all of this up. I thought it was just dreams, but it was real." Michael sat next to him. "It was real. You were loved. You are loved. And I know you don't remember everything. I know this is overwhelming. But Oliver, you're home now. Finally." Oliver looked at him. "I want to remember. I want to know who I was. But I'm scared." "Of what?" "That I won't be that person anymore. That I'll disappoint you." "You could never disappoint me. You're alive. That's all that matters." "Oliver?" We heard someone call out with a hint of desperation. And then a woman appeared at the door. "I came as fast as I could." "Mom?" She ran to hug him and they both cried, embraced. Over the next 2 months, Oliver stayed with Michael and Hillary. He saw therapists who specialized in trauma and memory recovery. He went through old photo albums, watched home videos, visited places from his childhood. Some memories came back. Others remained foggy. The therapist explained that he might never remember everything, that the trauma had created walls in his mind that couldn't fully come down. But slowly, Oliver began to accept his past, to integrate the boy he'd been with the man he'd become. Michael hired investigators to find answers about the kidnapping. 2 months later, they had a report. The kidnapper's name was Dennis Warren. He'd been a low-level employee at one of Michael's companies, fired 6 months before Oliver's kidnapping for embezzlement. The FBI had looked into him briefly during the original investigation, but cleared him because he had an alibi for the day Oliver disappeared. That alibi was fabricated. Dennis had taken Oliver. He'd kept him in a cabin in rural Wyoming. He'd contacted Michael demanding ransom. But in August 2007, Dennis was arrested in Montana for armed robbery, a desperate, stupid crime. He was sentenced to 20 years. He died in prison in 2015 from a heart attack. He never told anyone about Oliver. And because Oliver couldn't remember his name or provide any details, no one made the connection. "He's dead," Michael told Oliver. "He can't hurt you anymore." Oliver nodded slowly. "Good." 6 months after I found Oliver's portrait in Michael's mansion, I stood in that same living room for a very different reason. Michael had invited me to dinner. When I arrived, both he and Oliver were there, smiling. "Tessa, sit down," Michael said. "We have something to tell you." I sat nervously on the couch. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's better than okay," Oliver said. He looked different than he had 6 months ago. Healthier, happier, more settled in his own skin. "I'm staying. In New York. With my father. Permanently." "Really?" "Really. I'm not going back to Wyoming. This is home now. I remember enough. And even the parts I don't remember, I want to build new memories here." I felt tears prick my eyes. "Oliver, I'm so happy for you." "There's more," Michael said. "Oliver's going back to school. He wants to study aerospace engineering." "You're going to be a pilot?" Oliver grinned. "Maybe, or design planes. I haven't decided yet. That's amazing. Michael looked at me seriously. And Tessa, I want to do the same for you. I blinked. What? You brought my son back to me. You gave me the greatest gift anyone could ever give. I can never repay that. But I want to try. You told me you first came to New York dreaming to get a degree. I want to pay for your education. Whatever you want to study. Wherever you want to go. Michael, I can't... Yes, you can. You said you came to New York with dreams. Let me help you achieve them. Please. I looked between Michael and Oliver, these two people whose lives had been shattered and were now, slowly, being rebuilt. And I thought about the 6-year-old girl in an orphanage who'd befriended a sad boy with a toy airplane. Okay, I said. Thank you. Both of you. Oliver hugged me tight. Thank you, Tessa, for remembering me. I could never forget you. 2 years later, I'm sitting in a college classroom at NYU studying journalism. I'm writing this story as part of my senior thesis. The story of how I helped reunite a father and son who'd been separated for 18 years. Oliver is in his second year at Columbia, studying aerospace engineering. He and Michael live at the Penthouse. Hillary spends some months with them, and some in California with her husband. They are all building a relationship from fragments and faith. Michael never remarried. He says Oliver is enough family for him. Though I think he's lonely sometimes. I visit when I can. We've become friends, an unlikely trio bound by circumstance and choice. I think about the portrait above Michael's fireplace, the 7-year-old boy frozen in time. Oliver wanted Michael to take it down, to replace it with a current photo. But Michael refused. That boy is part of your story, he said. We don't erase him. We honor him. He survived something terrible. He deserves to be remembered. So the portrait stays, a reminder of what was lost and what was found. I'm not cleaning houses anymore. Sometimes, when I'm studying late at night in my dorm room, I think about the day I walked into a penthouse and saw a face I recognized. How easily I could have said nothing, could have finished my cleaning job and left, keeping the information to myself. But I didn't. I spoke up, and that choice changed 3 lives forever. I don't know if I believe in fate, but I believe in this. Sometimes the people we meet in our lowest moments turn out to be the most important people in our lives. Oliver was my friend when I was a lonely child in an orphanage, and 18 years later, I was able to give him back the family he'd lost. That feels like something more than coincidence. That feels like purpose. Last month, Oliver called me with news. Tessa, remember how I always used to draw airplanes at Meadowbrook? Of course. You covered entire notebooks with them. Well, I'm designing one now. For real. For my class project. It's a small electric aircraft design. Probably won't ever get built, but... Oliver, that's incredible. I'm naming it the Tessa. I went quiet. You gave me my life back, he said. Both lives, actually. The one I lost and the one I'm building now. This is how I want to say thank you. I cried. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Michael invited me to Thanksgiving dinner this year. His penthouse was decorated beautifully. Oliver had helped, he told me proudly. It was just the 3 of us. Hillary was in California with her husband's family, but she'd come back to spend Christmas here. Over dessert, Michael raised his glass. To Tessa, who brought my son home. We clinked glasses, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not since I was 12 years old and the Hendersons chose me for adoption. I felt like I belonged. There are still mysteries we haven't solved. Michael's investigators found Dennis Warren's cabin in Wyoming, abandoned for years, falling apart. The police searched it but found little evidence. Most records from Oliver's time at Meadowbrook have been lost or destroyed in routine purges. We'll probably never know every detail of what happened during those months Oliver was held captive. Oliver says he's okay with that. I don't need to know everything, he told me. I know enough. I know I survived. I know I found my way out. I know someone was looking for me, even when I didn't know to look for them. That's enough. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd taken a different cleaning job that day. If my boss had sent someone else to Michael's penthouse. If I'd been too rushed to notice the portrait, or too shy to speak up. Oliver would still be living in that groundskeeper's room at Meadowbrook. Michael would still be alone in his penthouse, staring at a painting of a son he'd never stopped mourning. Oliver graduated last May. Michael, Hillary, and I were there, cheering louder than anyone when he walked across the stage to receive his degree in aerospace engineering. After the ceremony, we took photos in front of the Columbia campus, Oliver in his cap and gown. Later, Michael had the photo framed. It sits on his mantle now, right next to the portrait of 7-year-old Oliver. Past and present. Loss and recovery. Everything that was broken, slowly being made whole. I'm graduating next month. Michael and Oliver are coming to my ceremony. Oliver says he's bringing a sign that says, "That's my sister," even though we're not related by blood. "You're more my sister than anyone," he told me when I protested. "You knew me when I had nothing. When I had no name, no family, no past. You were my family then. You're my family now." After graduation, I'm starting a job as a reporter for a nonprofit news organization. It's not high-paying, but it's meaningful. Michael tried to talk me into something more lucrative, but I refused. "This is what I want to do," I told him. "Tell stories about the kids who fall through the cracks. Make sure they're not forgotten." Michael smiled. "Oliver would have been one of those kids if not for you." "Exactly. So maybe I can help find a few more." Sometimes people ask me if I believe in miracles. I used to say no. I grew up in an orphanage. I saw too many kids who prayed for families and never got them. Too many hopes raised and crushed. Miracles felt like fairy tales for people who'd never known real loss. But now I'm not so sure. Because what are the odds that a cleaning lady from Wyoming would end up in a penthouse in New York? That she'd notice a portrait on a wall? That she'd recognize a face from 12 years ago? That the boy in the portrait would be alive, would be nearby, would be findable? What are the odds that 18 years of searching would end because someone with a dust cloth decided to speak up? It felt like something more than luck. It felt like the universe bending, just slightly, toward justice. Have you ever reconnected with someone from your past and discovered it changed both your lives? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about impossible reunions and the power of paying attention touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more meaningful stories every day. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring tale. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the smallest act of recognition can change everything.